everyone. I'm Shania.
And I'm JP.
And welcome to The First Drop.
Shania, it is July. It is hot in the state of Florida.
Summer is here.
But with July, a new month, brings your favorite segment every single month here in The First Drop, our past member rewards.
Past member rewards.
And we've got a lot for summer. So what are our past members getting in the month of July?
Oh, goodness. I don't even know where to begin. Passport to summer. Obviously, one of the bigger things that's happening. So every single visit that you make to the park as a past member, you get closer and closer to all of these summer rewards. I just hit this. I'm so sorry. And it also leads up to a huge summer party bash that happens on August 18th.
Yep. So make sure you get your ticket every time you come to the park. That way you get those rewards.
Exactly. And
free beer.
Free beer. Cheers to free beer, everyone. Still happening. Everyone who comes to the park can literally just get one beer, but if you're a pass member, you get two beers. And that is going until July 20th, because right after that, on July 21st, Beer Fest starts. So it's a lot of beer starting from summer all the way on. So get ready for that.
We're here for it.
Yes, make sure you get your beer when you come in.
Busch Bucks.
Busch Bucks, free money to spend inside of the park. We all love that.
Can't
if it's
go wrong.
Free,
it's for me. It's for us.
It's
for
us.
Shania and I.
Buy yourself something nice in our little gift shops. Oh gosh, what else is there?
A guest ticket. Everyone has a guest ticket in their account right now to use.
There's a guest ticket. It is, I think, from a certain date to another date. So make sure you visit your pass member portal to find that. We have Meet the Vet happening every Thursday from
2 to 3.
2 to 3.
And that's at our animal care center.
Yes,
so
you
can
get
meet the vet.
A lot of really cool information and get to meet some of the people who work over there. It's really cool.
And to tease later in the episode, it's actually Zookeeper Appreciation Week.
It is, yes. And
I don't want to spoil anything yet, but keep watching.
But our guest of honor today it works really well. It's a very themed episode, so it works out good. We also have this apple crisp tart that's over in Coaster Coffee. It's an exclusive past member food item. So that's happening in the month of July as well. It's very delicious. Go get one.
Oh my gosh, should we miss any past member rewards?
Probably, because there's so many, but if you want to know more about your past member rewards, visit the portal, go to our website. Everything is listed there. Happy summer. JP, I was on the festival field the other day watching fireworks, and I heard your announcement for the first time.
Was it good?
It was really
good.
I
haven't heard it yet.
I liked it. It was
I
really good.
always watch the fireworks from other places in the park. I don't ever make it over to the field in time, so
it was really cute. I didn't get to record it and send it to you, but it was really cute. I loved it.
So yeah, fireworks still happening, of course, in the park for summer. We've got tons of entertainment happening throughout the park. We've got our party squad walking around, just hyping people up. We've got our Coke DJ booth over in Stanleyville Plaza. We've got dance parties every single night. And then across the street at Adventure Island, we have Island Nights. And if you haven't heard, Island Nights have been extended through July 28th. So every Friday, parks open a little later until 8 o'clock. We've got a 360 camera for you to take some amazing Instagrammable moments or
really
thread moments. I don't know. Yeah, I know. We're changing here. And we've got a DJ courtesy of iHeart, and of course, a big Coke DJ booth there as well. So it's just a huge party over at Adventure Island every single Friday night, but here at Busch Gardens as well.
Yeah.
So Shania, since Zookeeper Appreciation Week is coming up, all over the world, really.
We always appreciate our zookeepers.
Always. But it made me think back to, we had the opportunity a little while ago to do one of the other amazing insider tours that are offered here at Busch Gardens, and that was the Penguin Insider Tour.
Yes, it was very fun. I know we're trying to hit like all of the different tours. This one was definitely one to remember. It was so fun. We met Miso.
Little Miso.
Little penguin Miso.
I don't like to pick favorite animals in the park, but like...
He's up there. He's one of them for
He's
sure.
One of them.
Yeah.
Little Miso. He was so handsome.
That was really cool.
We had a lot of fun. Tell me like what your favorite part of the Insider Tour was.
Gosh.
Or describe it for the people who haven't done it yet.
Yeah, okay, that's cool. So it's a really cool experience where you get to go behind the scenes and meet a penguin for a day. And you're there with one of the zookeepers, and they are telling you all these different facts about them. You're getting up close and personal, like they're right here. He waddled right up onto the little platform thing. He was so cute. He just like waddled on up. And it's just really cool. You just get like a whole personalized behind the scenes experience with a penguin.
And you learn a lot of facts and things about penguins that their lifestyle or how they take care of each other I found really interesting. I don't want to ruin it for anybody, but you should definitely go check it out. Little Miso was so cute.
Yeah.
We had to touch the penguin. You get to pet his back. But I found it so cool just to see Miso interact with our zookeeper so well. It was almost like, I mean, everywhere that she went, he was
literally
like right behind.
Their relationship was really cool to see.
Which really just goes to show you the relationships that are built between our zoo staff and our animals. Shania, since Zookeeper Appreciation Week is coming up, I think it's the perfect time to introduce our guest for this month.
Yes, and you've probably already seen her if you have watched our newest web series called Wild Encounters. She's the host of it.
She is.
So,
without further ado,
check out our interview with Kayla.
Our next guest on the show this morning, just in time for Zoo Appreciation Week, is one of our zoological curators here at the park. She's also a host of the brand new web series, Wild Encounters. Hello, Kayla, everybody. Kayla, welcome to the first drop.
Hi, thanks so much for having me, you guys. I'm really excited to be here.
Yeah, usually you're kind of us doing the hosting, so now the roles have reversed.
I know, I feel like I'm sitting in the wrong chair.
The hot seat. You're in the hot seat.
So please tell us about Wild Encounters, about your new web series. Tell us all about it.
Okay, I'm super excited about this kind of new venture that Busch Gardens is diving into. Wild Encounters is our newest web series where basically we are nerding out about all things animals and zoo. So that's not the actual tagline. The tagline is that we get to talk to amazing people who take care of incredible animals. And that's exactly what that show is designed to do. So we're talking a lot about conservation. We're talking about species-specific stories, sometimes individual animal stories, and getting to know the people who take care of the amazing animals that live here at Busch Gardens.
Yeah. We get a lot of questions all the time about our zoo teams and the animals that we care for. So this is like the perfect platform for you guys to, like you said, kind of nerd out about it and educate people about all this stuff. So.
And we have so many people who come to the park specifically to see the animals. I'm really excited to give them an inside view as to what like every single day looks like for us.
Yeah, I love it.
And you guys have to go through a lot to be an accredited zoo here at Busch Gardens, right? Is that some things we'll learn about on the series?
Oh, I hope so. I hope that there's a lot of things that we have coming up that people can really dive into what it really looks like behind the scenes, including the accreditation process. We're really proud to be an AZA accredited facility, which means that we are participating actively in conservation projects, sometimes right here at the park, sometimes across the world. We're also participating actively in research. We're going out of our way to educate people who are coming in through our doors every day too. So there's a lot that does go into that. So hopefully we'll get the chance to go into accreditation. Hopefully we'll get a lot of chances to talk about accreditation. We'll get the chance to talk about some of those conservation projects that we participate in as individuals and as a park. If you watched our very first episode, we got to talk to Kara, who is very involved in conservation, and she got to spotlight Viazzi, but then she also got to talk about how Viazzi here at the park and the crash, I learned that word. I couldn't believe I didn't know that word, but the crash of rhinos here at the park, and we had the opportunity to talk about them and how taking care of them here at Busch Gardens has also helped rhinos out in the wild environment too. So hopefully there's a lot more stories like that coming up.
Good. If you haven't watched the first episode of Wild Encounters, go do that now. Watch the rest of this, but then afterwards, click out and go watch the new episode. And then probably the new episode that'll come out soon too. So.
Kayla, obviously very passionate about the zoo life here at Busch Gardens. How did you get started in this career? Like, tell us about you.
So that, man, we have to go back several years for
Let's
that.
do it. Let's go back.
But in 1998, I visited one of our sister parks, SeaWorld Orlando, and I was a little kiddo, and I happened to see one of the killer whales up close and personal. You guys can tease me if you want to. I don't know what I was thinking. I was 7 years old, but I stuck my tongue out at this whale, and the whale stuck its tongue back out at me. And I whipped around to my parents behind me, and I said, I'm going to be an animal trainer. I'm going to take care of animals. And they said, that is such a cute phase.
I think we all wanted to do that at one point, right?
And now 25 years later, I'm still getting the opportunity to take care of, gosh, I've been so lucky, hundreds of animals in my career. So I'm really thankful that I had that moment, and the fact that we are continuing to inspire people that exact same way, but with so many animals across the park. I mean, there's someone today, right now, as we're talking, who's out on the Serengeti safari and they're feeding Stanley or Angel for the very first time. They're falling in love with giraffes. Or they're going on our Penguin Insider Tour and they're meeting Parsley and they're getting to touch how soft a penguin actually is and like experience that for the very first time, and hopefully loving those animals more when they exit the park than when they came in. And if we're doing that every day, then we're doing our job well.
Yeah. Oh, that's a really inspiring story.
It's what got me involved, and it's kind of interesting because as we're doing the wild encounters, we're kind of discovering that everyone kind of has something that inspires them to get into the field. Like this tends to be a career that you don't stumble into. It tends to be one that you're like really inspired and motivated to be a part of. And this is Zoo Appreciation Week, Zookeeper Appreciation Week, and we're really appreciative of all the people who were inspired and decided to continue to help inspire other people too.
Oh, that's awesome.
I know just some of the animals that Shania and I have gotten to meet, like just on a one-time basis, I now love more in the park.
Yeah.
Miso, one of the penguins.
For
and
sure.
Bubba, like
I feel like if I was to do anything else here, I'd want to work in zoo so I can be with the animals more. That's how I feel. Yeah. Okay. So since you've worked with over 100 species in your career, what have some of like your favorites been? And can you kind of give us like a recap of like what all those animals are?
Favorite is such a tough word because asking a zookeeper what your favorite one is like tends to be usually whatever one you're working with or caring for like in the moment. But I have been really lucky. I've worked with some really remarkable animals. Some have been rescues. Some have been born like almost right in front of me. So I've been really, really thankful and really lucky. Some of the animals that I've worked with here at Busch Gardens, our elephant team is actually how I started at Busch Gardens. They are very easy to fall in love with, those elephant girls. So I've worked with the elephants here. I've worked with Miso, the penguin that you just mentioned. Yeah. So I worked with Miso, our penguin team, our reptile team, and I so enjoyed the reptiles. That was the very first time that I'd ever worked with reptiles in my career. For the most part, I've kind of been more of what we call megafauna mammals, which is kind of like a strange phrase, but megafauna mammals, basically like big, charismatic. When you think of a zoo or you think of Busch Gardens, you think of maybe like giraffes, elephants, lions, things like that. Those are big, charismatic mammals.
What is the name again? What is
megafauna?
Megafauna.
Yeah, so fauna is like animals. That's just like a really fancy term for animals. And then the difference between like megafauna or mega animals, big animals, or like microfauna, micro animals, right? Okay. See, this is the nerding out that we do on Wild Encounters.
She came here to educate us today.
I'm here for it.
So I, for a long time in my career, was those really big, charismatic animals. And then when I started working on the reptile team, I also fell in love with like the little poison dart frogs, the Kaiser newts, which you can see at our what we call snake room windows, which is right by Animal Connections. They're a critically endangered species that lives here with us at Busch Gardens. They're only found in one place in the world. It's Iran. So I fell in love with some much smaller, very different animals. There's a really big difference between newts and elephants. And now I'm really privileged to work with the Jungala team. So I work with the tigers that you find at Jungala and also the orangutans as well.
Oh, that's so fun. I feel like I would love to work with the elephants. We also interviewed Bria too.
Yes.
And she told us all about how it's very easy to fall in love with the elephants, like you mentioned too.
Yeah.
Wow.
But it's so interesting because so many people fall in love with something different, right? There are people who are absolutely in love with reptiles, and that's what they dedicated their entire career to. And so it's also really fascinating to me that as I continue through my career, it kind of takes all kinds to take care of all kinds.
Yeah. So you've been here for a little bit, you've kind of experienced everything here, but take us back to when you saw the killer whale through the window and stuck your tongue at it. And then what was your relationship like from that point on and with the killer whales too?
That's a great question. As far as being a kid and like seeing that animal, for me, one of the things that sticks out to me now, like looking back on it 25 years ago, is that it inspired me not just to be a part of this career, but inspired me to make choices in my life that help wild animals. And I don't know that, especially as a little kid, I would have seen that coming. I don't even know that my parents saw it coming, to be honest with you. But I went home that day, and I'm gonna throw myself right under the bus at like how much of a nerd I am. But all the other like little girls my age were like, I want to rent all the princess movies on VHS from the local library. Like I said, totally aging myself here, but I was the kid who went to the library and was like, I want to watch the animal documentaries. And it started for me with whales and dolphins because that was the species that inspired me. And then when I ran out of VHSs at my local library and I had read all of the books about that particular animal, I was like, okay, well, now what's next? So then I started learning about sharks. And then I did the same thing with sharks and like basically exhausted all of my resources. And then my parents were like, okay, well, now what animal does she want to learn about? And credit to them for them realizing that it was something I was really interested in. And even though they didn't know a ton about it at the beginning of that era of my life, they really like delved into it and invested in it. So I learned about sharks next, and then it was penguins, and then it was seals and sea lions, and then it's like terrestrial or land lions, right? And then in giraffes, and it just kept going and going and going and going. And so for me, like that moment isn't just the moment that I became in my head an animal trainer. Like I said, turned around and was like, that's what I am. But it was also the moment for me that I started to really care about everything around me, and my family recognized it too. And so they like did symbolic adoptions for me, and they invested in conservation funds in my name. Like there were like moments in my life that have definitely all been traced back to that one period of time where I visited SeaWorld and I saw those animals and fell in love with them, and that sparked not just a career for me but also like very intentional choices in my life that help animals too.
Do you have a preference on caring for sea animals or land animals? I'm sure there's like a more
sea or
appropriate
land
way to ask that question.
No, that's okay. No, whether it's aquatic animals or marine, you can call them either.
I'm so close.
That you were very close. That it still worked out. Or land or terrestrials. Okay. I've really learned something from every animal that I've worked with, and they've always surprised me. And anyone who's interested in becoming a zookeeper or an animal trainer, I like just using the word zoological professional, because if you're caring for animals professionally, like you're an animal care specialist or animal care professional, no matter what you choose, they all have something to teach you, and you have something to contribute to the team that you're on. And so for me, it would be really, really difficult to choose like a true favorite. I think in my heart, like as that little 8-year-old kid, like I guess I was 7 at the time, 7-year-old kid, I think that I have to say that there will always be a special place in my heart for like the animal that started it all. Yeah. But I couldn't possibly like choose a favorite at this point in my career
really
either. That would be so hard.
Yeah. Okay. So what did you kind of have to go through to become like a zoological specialist? Like what kind of education did you have to go through? How long did it take? Like what is that background kind of look? Because I've heard it's kind of like competitive too in the field. Competitive. So yeah, what did you go through for that?
It's incredibly competitive. There will be times where if we have a position open, we'll have 100 people apply for that one position. Wow. So it can be a very competitive field. So if someone out there is interested in joining the zoological field, we all have a little bit of a different story. So I can definitely share mine, but the general overview for what we would recommend is some type of schooling in an animal science. So it can be some type of environmental studies or environmental science. I have a degree in psychology, which there's a lot of like animal training knowledge comes from that degree. So operant conditioning, which is a fancy word, but basically the idea of reinforcement, increasing the probability that a behavior will occur. So if you're focused on the behavioral aspect of what we do, then psychology is a great choice. You could do biology. If you're looking specifically for marine biology is a good choice. So some type of animal science. We also recommend some type of professional, or at least official, if you will, like volunteer work with animals in some capacity. So you can volunteer at your local animal shelter, you can volunteer at a vet clinic. If you have a local zoo or aquarium, you can start out as an educator, or what's sometimes called a docent. Okay. You can get kind of your foot in the door that way.
Can you do that here too?
We definitely have an education department, and that is actually one of the places that you can get started. That's actually one of the ways that I got started at our sister park. Okay. So, and then internships are another thing that's really important too. And what's really cool about a lot of internships is that you don't have to choose one species for years, right? An internship may last 3 months, it may last 6 months, but you can kind of dabble in a little bit of everything, kind of figure out what you like and what you want to pursue. So for me in my career, the way that I actually got started with caring for animals is I actually started training service dogs for disabled veterans. Yeah, I started doing that in high school, and I really loved that. That was a volunteer position. I did that for a couple years, and then I started working at a grooming salon, so lots of dog experience. Started working at a grooming salon, did that for 8 or 9 months, and then I was really lucky to get an internship at Discovery Cove, another one of our sister parks, and that's where I got to work with several different species of birds, some of the stingrays that you can actually swim with and immerse yourself with when you visit that park, and some of what what we call the husbandry work or the diet prep for some of the other animals like the dolphins and even our animal ambassador collection at that park too.
I did not know that you were over at Discovery Cove.
Yeah,
That's
very
really cool.
briefly. Yeah, a little bit less than a year because our internships at the time were roughly 3 months, and I did a couple of them, so a little less than a year. But that's kind of how I technically got started with the company in a professional standpoint. And then I moved over to our education department, and I got the opportunity to give lots of different tours, and I absolutely loved that. I love connecting people to animals. It's one of my favorite things.
Looking back at your time with our parks, is there, like, in relation to conservation or animal care, is there a special project that stands out to you or something you've worked on or have been a part of that's, like, your favorite thing to, like, that's cool, I did that, like, I helped do that?
Yes. So there are a couple projects that I've worked on that I've had a lot of fun with. One of them that we participated in at SeaWorld was actually a hearing study with the killer whales, trying to figure out like what ranges do killer whales hear in. We've also done a very similar study in the marine mammal field with dolphins as well, because one of the things that affects wild populations of cetaceans, whales and dolphins, I did come to educate, that's what I'm here for, but whales and dolphins is noise pollution, right? So like boats going through, oil rigs being out there, things like that. There's lots of noise in the ocean, and how we operate in the world can affect the way wild animals migrate, the way they hunt, the way they raise their young. So trying to figure out what a baseline for that might look like. One of the other types of research that we did was with our rescued pilot whales. So I got the opportunity to participate in a research project with our rescued pilot whales back in the day. They unfortunately were a part of a mass stranding. We still don't really know why pilot whales mass strand, but they're one of the animals that mass strands fairly often compared to other whale and dolphin species. So we tried to kind of help with that type of research. And one of the other things that we got the chance to do was we did something called a morphological study, which basically means that we're trying to figure out what their body shape and condition should look like in a healthy individual. And then we took pictures from way up high on a drone so that when those drones go out into the wild and take pictures of whales from up high looking down, we can kind of compare and contrast what their bodies look like. Is that population healthy? Where are they traveling to try to figure out some of the things that might be happening with that population. As far as conservation here at Busch Gardens go, because I've been really lucky to be a part of a couple different projects, I really love that we're involved in so many SSPs, species survival plans, or species survival programs. Those have been really fun to be a part of. There's nothing like holding a baby penguin chick, right? Like there's just nothing like that, and watching them grow, but they're also an endangered species. So it's not just the selfishness of being like, wow, look how cute they are. It's also knowing that that cute little animal in front of you is actually helping their species overall just by being here in the world. We're also one of the only facilities in the world that has successfully bred slender-snouted crocodiles, which is super cool. Slender-snouted crocodiles.
Say that 5 times fast.
Right.
Slender-snouted crocodiles, slender-snouted, I'm not going to be able to do it.
Hard. Whoa.
But they're one of the most endangered reptiles in the world. There's only 500 of them estimated to be left in the world. And we're one of the only facilities in the world that has successfully bred them. So the fact that we're kind of like helping them hopefully get back to a place that we don't have to call them critically endangered anymore, I think that's pretty cool.
So you've learned a lot about what you've done in the past as far as conservation and zoological goes. So what are you doing right now at Busch Gardens? You said that you're a curator. So what is like a day in your life kind of look like? Like what is your responsibility?
What is a curator?
What is a curator?
I'm going to be super transparent for a minute here. It's day 6 for me of that title. So thank you. No, thanks. I'm really thankful for the opportunity. But for me, what I've always thought of when I think of the word curator for us within the zoological department, as I think of the curators as like the life support system for the zoo in general. I was once told that we are people who care for animals. So when I talk about that, like we may not be like the person who's got like the boots on the ground, we're scrubbing the things every single day, but we've definitely done that in the past. So we know how to be a liaison to maybe other departments, for example. So like, let's say that we have I don't know, maybe a repair that needs to happen for a habitat for an animal, like we know who to reach out to try to get that ball rolling. If we have new animals coming in, a new species coming in, new habitat design, we're kind of the liaison for that. So we're doing what we need to do to help the people who care for the animals every single day. And that can look different depending on the day, because sometimes it is still, just before I ran over here to do filming, I was one of those people who was scrubbing and diet prepping and all of that stuff. Like that was what my team needed for the day. That's the support that they needed. And sometimes it's doing the scheduling or the budgeting or things like that, the less fun stuff to talk about, but still the really important stuff, right? So that the people who are literally animal care specialists can care for the animals and specialize in that.
But when you've done it for as long as you have, like, you understand what they truly need and the support that they need too. So it's like, since you've done it before,
I hope so. Yeah, I hope so. No, I hope so. I hope so. But for me, like, I've been really thankful for the opportunity to be just a leader in the zoo for the last couple years. And I've been so inspired every day by how many amazing animals we get to work with and how many incredible people we get to work with too. There are so many very passionate, very dedicated, hardworking, intelligent people who work here at Busch Gardens. I get to work alongside them every day, and now I get to serve them in a different way. But have me come back in like a year, and hopefully I'll have an even better answer.
Yes, cheers to 6 days.
6 days,
and
day
many,
6.
many more. You got this.
So we know about what you do professionally. What is Kayla like when she's not at work?
Oh, no.
Yes.
I wish that I had a better answer, but it's still animal training.
I like that. Tell us about what you do personally.
So I did get started in my animal career in general with training dogs, right? So we talked about how I used to be a service dog trainer, and I am impressed by every animal I work with. I talked about that too, like that it's hard to pick a favorite, and I just couldn't leave the dog world when I left service dog training. So I trained service dogs for disabled veterans, and basically the way that looks is they basically give you a lab puppy or a golden retriever puppy, at least for the organization that I volunteered with, and they say, here's the list of behaviors that you need to have them learn at the end of the year, and then we're going to partner them with someone who needs them. And so I had the chance to teach them how to do the sits and the stays and the come and the down, like the normal things that you kind of see, dogs practicing on a regular basis. But I've also been really thankful to train them to do some really advanced behaviors, opening and closing doors, pushing elevator buttons, turning on and off light switches. And like, dogs are just so impressive. I think they're so much more intelligent than we realize, because we get used to how they live in our house. But I now compete with my dog in a couple different dog sports.
Oh my gosh.
So if you can't find me here interacting with the animals and taking care of the people who take care of the animals here, then I'm usually doing something with dogs outside of work.
How many dogs do you have? You.
I own 3 dogs.
Okay.
What kind?
We're going to drop in photos here. This is a recurring theme on the first drop.
Everyone shares a photo of their dog.
Look at Kayla's beautiful dogs.
They're perfect. No, I have Maya, who is 10 years old. She's a Pembroke Welsh Corgi. Okay. Callie, I actually co-own. She doesn't technically live with me, but she lives with one of my friends. Callie is 8 years old. She's a Doberman. And then Forrest is my youngest, the little goober. He is also a Pembroke Welsh Corgi. He just turned 1.5 years.
I love corgis. Corgi butts are so cute. Okay, and you can come train our dogs, yes?
Sure.
Oh my gosh,
we need some official training over here. We should drop JP's dogs. You want to share your dog pictures?
Sure. I've got Miko, who is a pit mix. He's 5, I think. He's a goober. He's a 2-year-old child. He acts like a 2-year-old child. And then Copper is my pride and joy. He is a Boston Terrier weenie dog mix.
Oh,
he's 7.
He's smaller
7,
then.
I think. He is. He's a little. He's my pride and joy. So Copper, Miko, love you guys.
Aww.
What about
Shout
you?
out.
You've never talked about your dogs.
I have one dog.
Yes.
I have one dog. She's a golden doodle. Her name is Juniper. This is her picture here. She's very tall. She's very fluffy. I love her. She's 2 years old. She just turned 2 not too long ago, so she's still a puppy. She needs training.
That happens. But what's funny about animal training is whether you're working with dogs, you're working with elephants, you're working with any type of animal, if you're using positive reinforcement, it's all the same, right?
Yeah.
If you find out what that animal likes and you give it to them every time they do something that you want to see them do again in the future, then that behavior is going to increase in probability. And so it's actually been really fun to kind of do this career and also do that hobby at the same time, because they correlate so strongly with each other, and things that I've learned from my dogs and have done in the sports that we do, I've been able to kind of apply here to animals too, to like learn how to motivate them, and vice versa. There's been times where I've been in the middle of interacting with an animal at work and all of a sudden gone, I bet this will work for Forrest. And then got to take that, like that knowledge, that piece of the story here at Busch Gardens and take it home and apply it differently, like in my life and my hobbies at home. So when we talk about like that concept of like every animal having the opportunity to teach you something, it's definitely true.
I studied psychology in college for a little bit.
Did you?
So I know all about positive reinforcement.
Yes.
Pavlov, right?
Pavlov is classical conditioning, but it's still a part of like behavioral psychology. Yeah, so
maybe I need a little bit of a recap.
But you know what? You know what though? That's one of the episodes that's coming up on Wild Encounters. We're gonna get the chance to talk about.
Don't listen to me. Watch that episode then, because I don't know what I'm talking about.
No, yeah, we're gonna get the opportunity to talk to one of our cheetah trainers and talk a little bit about that species, but also some of the training that they do over there. And the training that we do here at Busch Gardens is all positive reinforcement based, and it's actually used most often to help us take care of the animals that we have in our care. So it's usually called husbandry behaviors, which is kind of a fancy word. But husbandry just means it's the science of caring for an animal. Like you and I actually know husbandry, we just don't think of it that way. But like when you go to a doctor's office, for example, and they're like, I need to look at the back of your throat, what do you guys do?
You open your mouth.
You open your mouth, yeah. You just demonstrated it for us. Yeah, you're like, that like open mouth saying that behavior is a husbandry behavior, right? Because you used it to help your doctor take care of you, the science of taking care of an animal. So the animals at SeaWorld and Busch Gardens, the animals at Busch Gardens can actually learn the exact same things. So like the elephants, for example, they learn how to do a mouth open behavior, and the SD is just for you to raise up that hand. They'll lift their trunk, show you the inside of their mouths, but then we can take a look at their throats, we can look at their tongues, we can look at their teeth, and that's all trained through positive reinforcement.
That's amazing. I feel like I'm in like I feel like I'm in a class right now. This is awesome. Okay.
I told you we do a lot of nerding out on Wild Encounters.
Wow. Well, go watch that. Like I said, afterwards you can learn more about it. That'll be great.
Kayla, final question.
Okay.
Favorite ride at Busch Gardens? Go.
Oh my gosh, I can only choose one.
Do you like rides? You ride coasters and stuff? Or?
I will admit that I'm not brave enough to ride all of the roller coasters in our park, but I feel like that's not the selling point. I will admit that I'm not brave enough to ride all of the roller coasters in our park, but actually my favorite ride is Congo River Rapids.
Oh, okay.
I think it's super underrated.
Classic.
Yeah, and like it's July in Florida. It is so hot right now, and that's the perfect way to cool off. Like middle of the day, get some nice splash zone action from Congo River Rapids, and then you can go and ride some of the other rides that we have too.
You're not
See
wrong.
some of the animals, do some behind the scenes tours, lots of options, but that one will help you cool you down.
Okay. And so you said you're over in Jungala right now. So when people come and they want to see you and say hi, that's where you're going to be, and they can, or just around the park too.
You'll see me kind of around the park, I think a little bit here, but most of the time I'll probably be in the general Jungala area near the orangutans and the tigers.
Gotcha. And we can do tiger tours, no?
Yes.
Or, yes.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can actually do tours with both of the species at Jungala. So both tigers and orangutans. You're going to get a little bit of a different experience depending on the tour that you do. But with the orangutans, we actually have you participate in a training session with the animals. Cool. So that positive reinforcement that we talked about, we'll actually get the chance to demonstrate it for you. We'll show you some of the husbandry behaviors that they know. We'll have you guys like try your hand at doing the orangutan tour.
You can be a trainer.
You can be trainer for a little bit of time. Yeah. So we'll talk to you about that, kind of how we take care of those animals. And then when it comes to the tigers, you actually get to go behind the scenes and you get to see what their inside area looks like. So you get to see their outside area all the time when you come to the park, right? Yeah. We have 2 beautiful tiger habitats, but a lot of people don't get the chance to see the inside unless they take that Tiger Insider tour. Yes. But once you take the Tiger Insider tour, you get to see some of that husbandry area that we talked about. How do we take blood samples from a tiger, for example? Yeah. How do we ask them to weigh themselves? Because we want to be keeping track of their body condition all the time, make sure they're nice and healthy. And you'll get to see a lot of those aspects of the Tiger House when you take the Tiger Insider tour.
So cool. I've done that. I've seen the Tiger House. Have you seen it yet?
No, I haven't seen it yet.
We got to do it. It's very cool.
Yeah,
it's a very nice experience.
Yeah, that's a fun one.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Kayla. This is amazing. And we're very excited to see the next episode of Wild Encounters. Make sure you go watch it and you see it. You're hosting, so it's great. I love it.
Well, no, thank you guys so much for having us and for letting us brag all about the animals and the amazing people who care for them. It's what we love to do.
Anytime. Literally anytime.
Shania, another great episode of
Yeah.
The First Drop in the books. I could talk to Kayla all day.
Jam-packed with information, man. I learned so much.
Literally.
A lot of vocabulary words. I got
I need to take notes. Take
write
notes
down.
next time.
That was super fun. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you like this video and our web series, if you're watching it right now, you probably do. Make sure you like this video, subscribe so you never miss an episode, and you never miss an episode of Wild Encounters.
Follow us on Threads.
Oh, new social media platform. Yeah. Go follow us on Threads. Thread us.
Thread us. Is that what it's
Send
called?
us a thread.
You know what? I think we should get out of here, should I?
I don't know the proper term for that, but
Icon is getting ready to start over at Dragonfire Grill.
yes, it is.
We want to catch that show,
We're gonna
so
go
we are
watch
going to
it.
head out.
Bye. Also, we have a new pass number food item at Coaster Coffee. It's a little apple tart thing. It's really good. It's really cool. You can go over there and get it. What is it? Also, we have a yum.
Next up on the first, when we come back.
Oh yeah, you're totally taking the bloopers today. If you book it, blah blah blah, but it's really cool because you get to go behind the scenes.
It was, you felt like a bird.
What?
You felt like a bird. Keep going. I felt like I was hunched. So if I'm like this, am I good? Like, is the mic weird? Is it cut off my neck? I felt weird. Go ahead.
Talk just a little bit for me. Hello, this is JP. This is probably the voice I'm going to use. My Starbucks order is a venti iced latte, non-fat, 4-pump sugar-free vanilla. I'll say hi, Kayla. What's your Starbucks order? No, what's your Dunkin' Donuts order? No.